Howdy, it's Dr. Alejandro.
And I'm Dr. Emily.
And as many of you know, we have 4 clinics on our first 3 years in practice.
If you're ready to level up your business, find us at paththovictorychiro.com to get on the path to victory. Are you the master at communication? In order to be very successful in a business, it's super important that you communicate well. So I highly recommend this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It absolutely changed my life, not only in business, but in my personal life as well. The main topic is basically be more interested in that person than interesting, right? So you want to ask more questions about that person versus them asking questions about you. So this is actually a continuum from the previous episode where I mentioned I want to get more into leadership and management and how to really communicate well with your team. So this is the second management practice that I mentioned from last episode, which is communicating well. And just a reminder, just a recap, communication is a two-way street, right? It can't just be one person communicating. There's all types of communication, right? There's body language, there's verbal, there's nonverbal, there's texting, there's email. There's so many different ways to communicate in today's business world. But I just want to mention a couple techniques that has personally helped me to communicate better with my team, to become a better leader and a better manager. So recapping again, it's super important that we don't assume what's going on with our team. I'll give you an example here. A couple weeks ago, I assumed that one of our staff just didn't really want to be there. I thought she's probably on her way out. It looked like she had one foot out the door. She would show up to work. She just wasn't present. It was like she wasn't all there. She made a major mistake, which I mentioned in the last episode, and we actually had to write her up for it. Turns out she's pregnant. So of course she's not feeling good. She's having morning sickness. She's having nausea. Of course she doesn't want to be there. She's sick. She doesn't feel good. So we had to make arrangements and adjustments to her hours so that by the time she felt good after the morning shift, she could come in for the afternoon shift. No big deal. But that doesn't happen until we communicate, until we ask those questions. That's why we never assume, we never guess what's going on with our staff. We simply communicate. It's very simple. Sometimes all you have to do is ask and you'll get an answer and all of your previous assumptions will be resolved. So here is 3 different techniques that you can use with your staff if you feel like sometimes communication isn't going well. The first technique is called 2 emotions. If people aren't communicating well, this may not even be between you and your staff, but it may be between 2 of your staff or a doctor and staff or a manager and staff. 2 emotions are, you're going to say, hey, clearly something is on your mind and I want to get to the bottom of it. Number 1, we're both going to share 2 emotions that we're feeling right now. The first one is positive and the second one is negative. I'll go first. So here's an example of that. Hey, Sally, I can tell there's something clearly on your mind and I want to get to the bottom of it. I would love, if you're open to it, if we both share 2 emotions that we're feeling right now. And so the first one is going to be positive and the second is negative. I'll go first. So right now, I am super elated to be here. I'm so glad that you showed up to work today. I am grateful for all of your work and how just dedicated you are to this practice. But I feel like you're maybe not exactly wanting to be here. I feel a little bit skeptical of your desire and your want to actually want to work here. What do you think about that? What are your emotions going on? And so this would be with the scenario that I shared with the girl being pregnant. And she probably would have just said, yeah, I'm pregnant. So my emotions are all over, right? She's probably got so many positive, so many negative emotions going on. So that's just a really simple technique to do. It's a really easy way to also gain trust with your team because you're sharing something vulnerable. Hey, I'm going to share with you 2 emotions that I'm feeling right now. And then I want you to share 2 emotions with me if that's okay. Here's the second technique. This is what we call the question to statement ratio. This is super important, and I feel like more people need to take this technique and really run with it. So it's moderating. What percentage of dialogue is you talking versus them talking? We had a problem with the staff a long time ago where she just would talk, and I would say, hey, I feel like I can't get a freaking word in here. Obviously I didn't say it like that, but I feel like I'm not being heard and it's just you rambling and talking and I need to tell you things too. So remember that. There would be times when I would come in the office and I would come in early to get stuff done and she would come into my room and talk about a personal life and about this and about a system that went on and an attorney and a PI case. And I'm like, hey, I just need you to know that I came in here to get this work done. I didn't come in here to talk with you right now. There's a different time that we can set up. If we need to meet, we can do that. But all I had to do was communicate that. Otherwise, she had no idea that she was over talking and over explaining things. So what the question to statement ratio is, it's a rule of thumb. 80% of them should do the talking. I know that kind of contradicts what I just said, but in this case, sometimes staff doesn't feel like they're being heard. That other example was an extreme case. In that case, it needed to be 80% of me doing the talking, right? But a lot of staff doesn't feel like they're being heard, or they feel like you're just pretty much managing and sometimes dictating, and they don't really even get a word in, right? And so to get to that number, we have to be the ones to ask more questions as the manager and decrease the amount of time that we are talking and have the other person do a majority of the talking. So you have to increase your question to statement ratio. This is also how you keep control of the conversation. So this doesn't just work with staff, but this works with clients and patients and maybe future coworkers or future staff or future people you want to work with, partners. I have to be the one as a manager to ask more questions and more clear questions, better questions too, to get a better answer, to get a better statement. So are you talking too much and are you not asking enough questions? This often creates better clarity as well, because again, sometimes we just assume things and we just talk. I feel like she's coming in. She doesn't even want to be here. I feel like she's so mad at me. What's going on? What if I just simply stopped talking and I just asked, hey, what's going on with you? What's on your mind? Then we know that your staff is pregnant, and that's why we can't assume things, right? And then the third technique, it's called echoing. And this one is actually my favorite because I use it all the time. It's so simple. And I mentioned in my last episode, but it actually takes 7 times for somebody to hear something like it's the first time. And so if you're assuming that your staff understands and they get it and they know exactly what you want them to do, they don't. Please don't assume that. And so here's a technique that you can use to make sure somebody fully understands what you're asking of them and of their expectations of them. So if you ask someone to do something and you don't think they're clear on it, say, hey, Sally, do me a favor. Will you just repeat back to me what I said? I just want to make sure we're on the same page. You're not undermining them. You're not belittling them. You're not making them feel bad. You're just saying, hey, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Can you just repeat back to me what I just said, just to make sure you have clear instructions for what I need you to do? It also works well in reverse. Okay, Sally, let me make sure I'm getting that right. I'm going to repeat back to you what you just said. And so it works just as well the same way. And so we do this all the time with our staff. We do this all the time with our partners and our fellow doctors, especially when we're on our weekly and quarterly meetings, because we really want to make sure we understood what's going on. Sometimes, let's say a doctor at another location will bring about a problem and we don't really understand exactly what's going on. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to repeat back what I think you just said to me. And then we repeat it back. And then they're like, no, that's not at all what I was talking about. Or they're like, yep, that's what's going on. And then we can troubleshoot and go from there. But it's super important that there's clarity on both ends. Number one, did your staff, did your teammate, did your partner, did they understand you? Did they hear what you said? Do they have clarity on what to do? And vice versa. If somebody asks you to do something, okay, hey, I just want to make sure I understand that. Can I just repeat that back to you really quick? And then you just go from there. It's being open and honest, and it's making sure that you're actually understanding and you're giving direction clearly as well. Sometimes as managers, as leaders, we think that we are the bee's knees and all that in a bag of chips. And then when we go to ask somebody to do something, we are terrible communicators. And it's no wonder they don't get it done. It's because we're not creating clarity with that. So, hey, will you just make sure that, will you repeat that back to me? I just want to make sure that you understand what I just said and that we're on the same page. Super simple techniques that you can do to communicate well and make sure everybody is on the same page. And it just creates a coherence, a synergy throughout the entire business. I hope that helps you guys. I love talking about this kind of stuff. This all comes from EOS, the book Traction. Highly recommend it by Gino Wickman. If you have not read that, also read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Those 2 books have no doubt changed my life. It's changed the way that I communicate. It's changed the way that I practice. If you want more of these tips, follow us on Instagram. Go to our website, pathtovictorychiro.com. Would love to connect with you.